This week, after a gloriously wet time in Taipei, it's time for us to pack our bags and head back to Hong Kong. I get video bombed by a Chinese granny. The husband finds a new and rather niche way of pointing out airport lounges. And we get served the infamous Hong Kong egg waffle on our flight back to HK. Well, ni hao and welcome to Taipei. A very wet and rainy Taipei, it has to be said. We've been here for the last 24 hours where it's pretty much rained every single minute since we've been here. And if you didn't see how we got here, we flew on Cathay Pacific on their business class flight all the way over from Hong Kong, and the link will appear at the top. Today though, we're flying back on low-cost carrier Hong Kong Express. Why don't you come along and join us for the ride? And I'll show you everything you get if you fly on a low-cost carrier from Taipei to Hong Kong. Well, Zhao Shang Hao, and a very good morning to you from Taipei as we start our journey over to the airport to fly back to Hong Kong. Now, on this occasion, we used the MRT airport train to get there, and at a cost of just £3.75 per person, it really is a no-brainer. It does the journey in around 40 minutes from Taipei's central station and drops you off straight at the terminal. Now, a total side note I know, but just how cool are the Starlux staff uniforms? They look like something that a space company would wear, something that NASA would design, and I absolutely love them. Once in the terminal, we headed down to Zone 11 and 12, which is where you'll find the Hong Kong Express desks if you need to check in any luggage or bags, or simply speak to any staff members. For us though, it was straight through security, as we had hand luggage only. So all through security here at Taipei's International Airport, pretty efficient to be fair, we're probably queuing for about no longer than 3 or 4 minutes, and then straight through the E-gates instead of going to the traditional kind of border control immigration desks. Taipei let you use the E-gates here, so passport straight in, gates open just like they do back at home at Heathrow, so that's a nice touch and certainly lends yourself to a quicker exit of the country. Sad to be leaving Taipei, really. We've only been here for just over 24 hours and it's been a really nice stay. People are super friendly, really good food, albeit a bit spicy, but we've had a great time here. So just heading towards the Priority Pass Lounge, the nominated lounge here in Taipei's International Airport, and that is the Plaza Premium Lounge. There's two, one at Zone C and one at Zone D, and we're due to be departing Zone B. So we're heading to the Zone C Lounge, and I'll catch up with you when we get there. So all in the Priority Pass Lounge here, which is the Plaza Premium at Zone C. It is quite busy to be fair, but you've got to remember it's quite a busy international airport. This is one of the main Seoul airports, unless you go over to Songyan, and it gets quite busy in the afternoon. A lot of departures leaving here. So as busy as it is, we've got 2 seats together, 2 leather kind of armchair style seats. We're going to kick back and relax before our flight over to Hong Kong with Hong Kong Express. Husband has arrived with a delightful drink. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's asparagus. When in Rome. The lounge is modern in design, but did feel quite cramped. It had bottomed out a bit when I filmed these segments, but it was initially very busy when we got there. There is lots of seating areas though, like these workstation pods, which I'm a big fan of. There's also bench areas and dining tables if you're after something a bit more formal. There's various complimentary magazines, especially if you're into golf, and a flight departure screen allowing you to keep tabs on your flight. Wi-Fi is complimentary in the lounge, but it was very slow. I only managed about 4 megabytes per second download speed. On the food and drink front, there's a variety of teas, including A-Lee Mountain Tea, Taiwan Fancy Black Tea, whatever that means, and Twinings Berry Blush Infusion. There's a Coca-Cola branded soda machine, the aforementioned asparagus juice, cold jasmine tea, and sarsaparilla. Yes, I got my own back on the husband there. There's limited free pour spirits on offer, as well as iced cranberry juice and lemon water too. Finally, there's Taiwanese beer on draft. food front saw a selection of breads with jam, an oven of which we had no idea what for, an ice chilled salad bar and cheese selection, as well as hot food items such as meatballs, vegetables, a soy chicken, tea-stained eggs, udon noodles, sweet potato balls, and fried chicken nuggets. It all looked a bit sad. There was, however, a made-to-order screen which did look much better, so we tried a couple of options from there, but all in all, a pretty disappointing offering from Plaza Premium. So let's talk the pricing then, because I know obviously a lot of people, it's a bit of a deal breaker, isn't it, to decide whether you're going to go somewhere from another country if you have a bit of a holiday, and we decided quite early on that we wanted to come to Taiwan, albeit only been here for just over 24 hours, but we flew in with Cathay Pacific. That was a BA Avios reward flight, so paid Avios in cash. Take a look at that video for the full pricing breakdown in that one, but for this particular flight we paid cash completely, 100% of the fare was cash, and that was booked online through Hong Kong Express's website. We paid 11,100 new Taiwan dollars for that, which equates to about £260, about $130 per person. That includes obviously the flight, your checked baggage. We paid a little bit of an uplift. I think it was about, off the top of my head, about £10 to £15 to add on a kind of cabin bag as well, not checked bag, sorry. So opted for that as well. We got row 1 as the seats, and ultimately, yeah, it's a little bit higher than we wanted to pay for a kind of single one-way journey, but of course, with it being Christmas, this is the 27th of December filming this video, so obviously that means that the prices are kind of, pushed up higher than they normally would be. If you do book in advance for Taiwan, you can get flights as low as about £35. There's also some brilliant airlines, and I did want to kind of grab Starlux or China Airlines. They're also outfits that are flying the wide-body aircraft between Hong Kong and Taiwan, A350s and A330s as well. So if you do want to jump on a wide-body, you've got so many options between Hong Kong and Taiwan. Just make sure you book in advance, and if it is around December that you're going to be travelling, then unfortunately you have to kind of bite the bullet a bit and pay that higher fare. So yeah, all in all, $130 per person for this flight back to Hong Kong. So we left the Plaza Premium Lounge off to gate B1. We're going to be boarding in about 35-40 minutes. Flight times between Taipei and Hong Kong and vice versa seem to be the most confusing in length. I've seen anywhere from an hour up to an hour 50 leaving Hong Kong to Taipei, and then going back anywhere from an hour 50 up to 2 hours 40. So this flight, the very flight we're taking today, did it yesterday in 2 hours 20. So yeah, let's see how long it's going to be back to Hong Kong. A little tip for you if you're travelling through TPE, the information desks all stock a little selection of complimentary candies. Today, salty lemon candy. And I tell you now, this was spectacular. I took a few back home. Flying us back to Hong Kong this evening is this near 8-year-old Airbus A321-200, which was delivered to Hong Kong Express back in July of 2018. Its delivery flight was from Hamburg to the United Arab Emirates before it flew on through Thailand and then eventually on to Hong Kong. So all of the boarding gate now, B1, ready to go in about the next 10 minutes. Boarding's going to start. Aircraft has just flown in from Hong Kong and then now going to return back with us on board back to Hong Kong. Now, if you do fly HK Express, Hong Kong Express, do remember that if you don't check in at the airport and you do just buy a ticket online like we have, rock up with hand luggage, go straight through security, you will need to verify your documents, that's your passport and your boarding pass, your digital boarding pass, before you board the flight. They've just put a call out about 20 minutes prior to departure, and we joined the queue and just got those verified. They just verify your cabin baggage, so just check check the dimensions and check how many pieces of cabin baggage you've got to make sure that it meets the fare. So what I'm trying to basically say in a diplomatic sense is if you are the crafty type that go for, an extra 10 centimetres here, an extra 5 kilograms there, you might want to reconsider your options because they do seem quite strict on that. But all in all, pretty much good to go. Just going to wait for the final boarding call and then we'll jump on board. We're on row 1. We're in row 1, seat 1F, seat 1E, so the window in the middle. So it should be a nice little flight with a bit of extra legroom over and back towards Hong Kong. Now, I'm all for the low-cost model and cost-cutting in general, but it did grind my gears a little putting up a poster stating that no outside food or beverage is allowed to be consumed on board the aircraft. This just felt a little bit over the top in my opinion. Alas, frustrations over a sign aside, we were down the air bridge and on board this Airbus A321 for the relatively short hop back to Hong Kong. And here are our seats, 1F and 1E on the very front row. So here we are, all aboard this HK Hong Kong Express flight back to Hong Kong. Pretty much boarded straight away. They invite priority guests first, which we're not. You can pay for boarding priority if you wish. And then it starts by row numbers. It did start boarding from the back to the front today. So from, I think it was around row 29 forward, and we were row 1, so we'd be the last on board. We were kind of just ushered towards the front of the queue and told to board at our leisure, which we did. So we're all on board. Row 1 ready to go. We're going to be pushing back in about 10 to 15 minutes. Boarding is still well underway, and then we'll be on our way to Hong Kong, and I'll show you everything you get if you decide to fly Hong Kong HK Express in 2026. The legroom is good, but not the best I've seen when it comes to bulkhead rows. There was, however, no cost-cutting above us, with air vents and reading lights available per passenger. There's a storage and literature pocket in front of your seat, as well as manual window blinds too. The seats do recline. Here's the husband giving you a demo, and I must admit they recline by quite a bit. Quite good for a low-cost carrier in my opinion. There's a tray table in the arm housing of the seat, and this aircraft had a lot of advertising on the overhead lockers. The CR7 Life Museum, anyone? To the right of me I saw cargo still being offloaded. The tightness of low-cost turnarounds always keeps me on edge, so I decided to distract myself with the Hong Kong Express merchandise. Now, it has a really cool collection and all at reasonable prices. And how adorable is the baby cabin crew onesie? So cool. I did notice that HK Express had put thought into the cabin design with purple seat belts and various upholstery fittings, like this curtain divider, as well as a great carpet too. This does make the cabin feel less low cost and a little bit more high end. So as the last few passengers board this service over to Hong Kong, I just thought I'd talk a little bit about the seat comfort. Now, it's not your most conventional bulkhead row on an aircraft. The legroom isn't sort of fully stretched out, but it's certainly a lot more than it would be if you were sat in rows behind us. So that's quite a nice touch. One sort of small consideration, which the husband just kind of reminded me of, is you have to remember that these seats are slightly narrower because they have the tray table in the housing of the sort of seat arm area. So it does reduce the width of the seat ever so slightly, but for me it's not massively noticeable. I think it's only kind of noticeable if you're in a middle seat, which the husband is. He's been relegated, but yeah, even he is comfortable. It's just a sort of consideration if you are kind of slightly of the larger size, it might be a bit more uncomfortable than it would be in a seat further back. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Doors about to close, we'll get pushed back and head over to Hong Kong. So all up in the climb. Pretty bumpy ride out of Taipei this evening. The cabin crew and the flight deck did tell us before we departed that it might be a bit of a bumpy ride. And as you can see now, that bumpiness is still continuing as we climb through the clouds. But big queue to take off out of Taipei this evening. I think we're number 7 or 8 in line according to Flight Radar 24. But we got there in the end and we're now up in the air. So we're just climbing through these clouds, and as I say, it is quite bumpy at the minute. So we'll stay strapped in, and then we've got a little surprise which I've pre-ordered, which all shall be revealed. Stay tuned. Looking at their in-flight offering, to be fair, as much as I was a little bit aggrieved during that boarding process when they made several announcements to say you're not even allowed to consume your own water on board, any food or drink, anything that you consume on board has to be purchased, which I think is a little bit unfair, especially in this day and age when things cost quite a lot. In comparison, certainly against Western prices, things aren't too bad. For example, a bottle of water, a bottle of still water, 500ml is £1, a bottle of apple juice £2, a can of Coke £2.50, so certainly cheaper than Western prices, but still on the higher price, especially if you're the sort of person that likes to bring their own. Now, honestly, between me, you and the gate post, I don't think any cabin crew member would, take a bottle of water off you if they saw you consuming it and it was one that you'd not purchased on board. I'd be very shocked if that happened, especially considering most airlines like their passengers to be healthy and stay hydrated and things like that. But looking through the magazine, everything from food to drink doesn't look too unreasonably priced, to be honest with you. So there's a striking balance there somewhere. But got about an hour and 20 minutes to go with the flight, so I'm going to jump up and see what the toilets are like in a moment, and then kick back and relax and try and get a little bit, maybe 30-40 minutes shut-eye if I can. It's been quite a long day, but yeah, no complaints from me at the moment. It's fairly comfortable. We're going to be cruising upwards of 36,000 feet. I think we're still climbing as we speak, to be fair. And then we'll touch down in Hong Kong. We're in Hong Kong for another 2 days. And then we're flying back indirect to the UK. See if you can guess who with. Drop me a comment below. Also, props to the HK Express crew, as the toilets looked literally brand new. They were absolutely spotless and I couldn't find a single fault. A big thumbs up to HK Express. So that aforementioned surprise has arrived. It's the HK Express Jogyaman kind of collaboration, pandan flavoured Hong Kong egg waffle. What a great way to be woken up.
Yummy.
We'll give it a go. You know what, it wasn't half bad. It also came with a pack of Jogyaman branded limited edition stickers too. Whilst it didn't seem to have the signature crispy texture of an egg waffle, it was piping hot and very sweet. A nice little snack to willow away some of the time. Just another tip as well, if you are visiting Hong Kong for the first time, you may want to consider downloading the Octopus app. Now, this is not sponsored in any way, it's purely coming from a kind of angle of help, because we landed the very first day and visited a couple of restaurants and was told they only accept Octopus or cash. So if you are the sort of person that travels with good old-fashioned hard currency, then of course the Hong Kong dollar is your way to go. But if you are thinking of using credit cards or debit cards, then you can download the Octopus for Tourists app, top up through there, and then it kind of works in your Apple Wallet or Android Google Pay wallet as a normal card would, and it's accepted everywhere from restaurants, bars, cafes to things like vending machines, and even on board this HK Express flight they accept Octopus. So certainly something to consider if you are thinking of visiting HK, or it is on your list of coming places in the next few months. Well, as you saw, I did get my little 30 winks snuck in at about 15-20 minutes sleep, and for the front row, pretty comfortable to be fair, no real complaints. We've just kind of kicked back on this one and relaxed because it's been quite a busy 24 hours for us as we came in on that cafe flight and then had just under a day to explore the city of Taipei. But yeah, no real gripes with Hong Kong Express. fairly comfortable. I think they operate somewhere between a full-service carrier and a low-cost airline, in my opinion. It's certainly not like the low-cost airlines back in Europe. It operates on that model, and I think on board it feels ever so slightly premium and elevated, just slightly. We're not talking, full service, but... So yeah, as I speak to you now, I can see the lights of Hong Kong approaching, and we're here now for the next 2 days before flying back. But if you're thinking about booking a trip with Hong Kong Express, don't hesitate, would be my recommendation. All I'll say is just focus on those prices. Sometimes you can get full service carriers, even in economy between Hong Kong and Taipei. A lot of full service carriers like EVA Air, like China Airlines, and as you've seen, Cathay Pacific will offer a full complimentary dining service, often at £5 or £6 more when it comes to the airfare. So just weigh up those prices accordingly. So thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. There was an award for the most bumpiest landing. That one probably just won it. All things considered, this was a solid flight with HK Express. The crew were friendly, the cabin was comfortable, and the experience from start to finish was pretty stress-free. There are a few quirks. The policy on not allowing outside food or drink on board does feel a little strange, but it never really detracted from the journey itself. In many ways, HK Express sits in an interesting space, somewhere between a traditional low-cost carrier and a full-service airline. I'd happily fly them again and would comfortably recommend the experience. I would just say always check fares against full-service airlines on the same route, as depending on the dates, the price difference can sometimes be negligible. Now, as part of the low-cost experience, I feel it pretty appropriate to mention that you'll be dumped on a remote stand at Hong Kong, which is what it is. No one's majorly bothered, but it does mean a bus to the terminal. Just something to consider if that kind of thing bothers you. But hey ho, we're back on home turf for the next 2 days, and then we're flying on back to the UK. Thanks for watching. Now feels like the perfect moment to ask, if you're enjoying the adventures so far, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and come along for the ride with a growing community of fellow travellers.